As if like a cat with 9 lives, Amritpal Singh, the self-styled Khalistani leader, kept evading the police from the night of March 18th for 27 days straight. Sometimes after movie-style car chases, sometimes after hijacking a bike, and sometimes even on foot. He used various impersonations to keep himself one step ahead. But as his aides, including his mentor Papal Preet and another close-eyed Joga Singh, were arrested one after another, Amritpal was left alone and tired as he was fast running out of funds and places to hide. It was then on April 20th that the police trumped his queen, stopping his British citizen wife Kirandeep Kaur from boarding a plane to the UK at Amritsar airport. Kirandeep had fallen in love with the Khalistan-obsessed Amritpal while chatting with him on Instagram. Months later in Feb 2023, they got married in Punjab, where she moved to live with him and his family. Scared that his wife would pay for his sins, it is likely he engineered his own surrender by deliberately getting arrested in Brindanwale's village of Rode in the very Gurdwara that was made in the slain militants' memory, so as to make a statement that he was the modern Brindanwale.
मैं सरेंडर करने का फैसला किया है, लेकिन ये गिरफ्तारी सिर्फ शुरुआत है.
Probably leaking his whereabouts to Punjab police, who at the stroke of midnight of April 22nd woke up Chief Minister Bhagwat Mann.
सर सानू पक्की खबर मिली अमृतपाल रोडे पिंड विच गुरुद्वारे दे अंदरों लुकिया होया.
Mann, not wanting to repeat Indira's mistake of storming the Golden Temple in 1984, rang up DGP Gaurav Yadav.
तो फाड़ लो अनु, लेकिन कान खोल के सुन लो, गलती नाला भी ना गुरुद्वारे अंदरों जाना है, ना उत्थे गोली चलानी है.
The new Chief Minister Mann didn't sleep at all that night, pacing around tensely in his room and talking to officials every 15 minutes. Meanwhile, the police in civilian clothes, so as not to create panic, methodically cordoned off the village from all sides and not leaving any gaps for an escape this time. But Amritpal gave himself up without a fight in the early morning of April 23 and was arrested outside the Gurdwara as instructed. He too was sent out of Punjab's to Assam's Dibrugarh jail, where his aides languished, charged under the National Security Act and kept in solitary confinement. But the once tough-talking rebel was soon pleading to be let off.
जे तुसी मेनू जान दो तो मैं फिर वो क्राइम दी लाइन क्रॉस नहीं करूंगा. वादा अमृतपाल दा. साडी लड़ाई सिर्फ ड्रग्स ते ईसाई मिशनरियों दे धर्म परिवर्तन दे खिलाफ है की.
So is Amritpal just a publicity hound, or does he really believe in the impossible demand of Khalistan? A normal kid growing up, he roamed around the village on his bike listening to Punjabi songs. Then went to Dubai in 2012 after school to work in his family's well-established trucking business. He sported short hair, was clean-shaven, dressed in t-shirt and jeans with no outward signs of orthodoxy. He worked out regularly at a gym like so many other carefree youngsters and remained like that for many years. But the long drawn-out 2021 farmer protests in which he actively participated changed him.
काले कानून साडी कौम दे खिलाफ नाइंसाफी हैं.
Back in Dubai, Amritpal used an app called Clubhouse, where he engaged in discussions on Khalistan, especially with one Avtar Singh Khanda, an old UK-based Khalistani hand known for teaching Sikh youth the making of improvised explosive devices, IEDs. Avtar Singh was also responsible for orchestrating the pulling down of the Indian flag at the UK embassy while protesting Amritpal's arrest, for which he too was later arrested and died a day before this video was uploaded. The idea of Khalistan still survives, but only abroad, mostly among 8 groups in 5 nations who are responsible for spreading terror and violence in Punjab. 3 groups in Pakistan, 2 in Canada, and 1 each in the UK, Germany and US, plus some loose cannons. And though only a minority of Sikhs settled overseas support the Khalistan demand, it is a vocal and powerful minority. These groups with access to guns and money radicalize youth and were also involved in the murder of Sidhu Moosewala, on whom we did a story earlier. Now a changed Amritpal returned to Punjab in August 2022 to take shelter under the tutelage of Papal Preet Singh, the homegrown Khalistani radical, who taught him Sikh history and further indoctrinated him with a radical version of the Khalistan movement that lasted from the late 1970s to the early 90s. When a car accident killed 37-year-old actor-activist Deep Sidhu of Waris Punjab Day, a group that came up during the farmer protests, Amritpal hijacked it and took over an important position. It is alleged that 35 crore collected from foreign sources, some in the name of helping farmer protest victims, was spent on radicalizing the Waris Punjab Day movement. Some of this money was used by Amritpal for arms training in Georgia. Some of it for undergoing cosmetic surgery to make him look like Jarnail Singh Brindanwale, the infamous Khalistani militant of the 70s and 80s. Then in September 2022, the foreign returned western-looking Amritpal Singh took Amrit Sanchar, that is, got baptized at the Anandpur Sahib Gurdwara. 4 days later, he started his movement from Brindanwale's village of Rode with a public speech.
ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਲੋਕੀ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਗੁਲਾਮ ਹੈ ਅਸਾਂ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀ ਲਈ ਲੜਨਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ.
And it was no coincidence that he was arrested at the same location. Even the Ajnala incident of Feb 23, when he carried the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji on his head and stormed the Amritsar police station demanding the release of Lovepreet Singh Tufan, arrested on charges of kidnapping and assault, was engineered so that he could emulate an incident of 1978, where 13 followers of Brindanwale were killed in a clash with the Nirankari sect. Brindanwale had used that incident to come into the spotlight, and Amritpal wanted to use this incident to completely entrench his image as Brindanwale 2.0. Fortunately, the police foiled his plans by not firing a single shot and on the contrary, releasing his eye. To the public, he tried to project himself as a social reformer by making provocative speeches on Punjab's drug menace, youth migration, the destruction of Punjabi culture, and the large-scale conversion to Christianity that is going on, some of which went viral. Under the guise of drug de-addiction centers in Gurdwara premises, spaces which lie empty now, he was clandestinely training youngsters in weapons, trying to make a private militia like the AKF, Anandpur Khalsa Fauj. The open brandishing of guns and swords and fancy cars by his bodyguards and aides served to attract the youth that was anyway enamored by Punjab's gun culture. But public opinion turned against him in December 2022.
ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਦੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਉੱਤੇ ਮੰਚ ਤੋਂ ਬੈਠਣੇ ਦੀ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ ਕਿਸੇ ਉਮਰ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ.
When he and his supporters burned Gurdwara benches meant for the elderly. Despite his various defiances, the state and the central government looked the other way for 7 months as Amritpal laid his base. Maybe because Bhagwat Mann didn't want to become unpopular with the radical vote bank, and Amit Shah felt that the polarized environment may help him appease the Hindu vote bank. Various political factors have recently been in play, like the Sikhs being fed up with all political parties, Congress and Shiromani Akali Dal's administrative incompetence that led to the electoral rout, BJP's aggressive Hindi Hindustan narrative, and Bhagwat Mann's image as a remote control CM in the hands of Delhi's Kejriwal. Then there is an emotive issue to release Sikh prisoners from the days of militancy who have been in jail for over 3 decades now. By the time matters got out of hand, India's hands were tied. As G20 meetings were being held in Amritsar from March 15 to 17th, and Amit Shah did not want delegates to see an unstable India. Chief Minister Bhagwat Mann in his meeting on March 2nd had even pleaded with the Home Minister.
Amit ji, Amritpal is becoming a nuisance. I need to act soon.
Yes, we must, but only after G20. Punjab cannot afford another turmoil. Its financial situation is woeful, with the state's debt burden having crossed the 3 lakh crore mark. In 1993, a Punjabi on average earned the 3rd highest income in India, just behind a smaller Goa and Delhi. Now it stands at a lowly 16. Maybe because post-1990s liberalization never happened there.
Punjab never had a private sector with well-paying jobs. Politicians became industrialists, ruined competition, and scared investors.
With no leadership willing to tackle Punjab's myriad problems, Amritpal capitalized on the youth's search for an anchor and flocked to him. Bisbo's limerick. There was a self-styled radical who thought secession was practical, but he's fighting a dead fight, a future that's not bright. His end will be truly tragical. You will also find these sources listed in our video description section.